Okay. So, thank you. Alternatively, he knows that Julia was into drugs and hid it very well from Mary, who never wanted to know what was really going on with her daughter. Right? So, does he now want to, betray that trust that he had with Julia and, and tell the mother, let me tell you who your daughter really was. She was a drug user. Which puts a completely different spin on the whole thing. Okay? Question 2, is Ben's family connected to the mob? If yes, did his family have a hand in manipulating the system to get sole custody? 2, did he win sole custody because Julia is a drug user and Ben being part of the mob was irrelevant? 3, is he afraid of being seen in public because people may recognize him or connect him to crimes? It puts a very different dynamic if, he's going somewhere public and he knows he's going to be recognized. How he deals with the public, with the people in the coffee shop, how uncomfortable he is in sort of going there, and especially if all she has to do is raise her voice and instantly everyone's looking. And him being a guy and her being an old lady, she's going to look like the victim. Yeah?
Well, I was going to say, the only way a man would get custody, the mother would have to be seriously have something wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, she's cut away.
She's only 59.
Yes.
Sorry.
She's in the 90s.
Oh, she's younger than me.
Yes.
That's not old.
The supposition here is that the question was, is Ben's family connected to the mob? And the answer is yes. So was it because they manipulated the system to get sole custody?
Yeah, probably.
Right.
How do you know this?
Which country is this? US or UK?
I've sort of written it to be
US.
US. Yeah. Car chasers and
In
things
which
like that.
case?
Yeah.
It is possible for that to get the custody.
Yes. If we're talking about a corrupt system,
There's so many social workers involved in the UK.
So if he's a member of the mob and he's Italian, he's very much going to be pretty hard on that.
Not a very good.
In a very aggressive move.
Not a very Italian name.
Yeah, depends on his motivations. You can't say just because he's, let's say he's New York Italian. You can't say just because he's New York Italian that he's going to be this, lean, he might want to make her look bad. I'm the victim. You've taken my baby. Give me back my son.
You can't see an American Italian monster in the heart.
Yes.
Ben surely is short for Benjamin, which is a Jewish name.
Jewish
Yeah, must be. Yeah.
Could be. I mean, does that mean that everyone who's named Ben is by definition Jewish?
No, but it's you're saying the mob, meaning presumably the Italian connection.
Yeah.
Therefore, wouldn't it be an Italian, Luciano or something? Not Ben. Ben is a bit,
Benito? All questions to the answers, right? Okay. Alternatively, he's not worried about the public as he can control the system. That's a bit worrying. That sort of puts him in a very different...
His dad could be the mayor.
...class of person. Yeah, his dad could be the mayor. They might have paid off, the police or the authorities. They might have threatened the authorities.
You want to go on both sides. You want people to police and the
Yeah, timber. Alternatively, does he want to appear like he's the victim here and Mary is the person who stole his son?
Well, she did.
Yeah, isn't he the victim anyway? I mean, if he has legal custody, surely he is the victim.
Well,
because the law says he has the right.
Like a victim. He might go, you know what, you stole my son, I'm going to have you for this.
Yeah, it's by the police.
Right, but he might have her in a different way. He might bump her off.
No.
Right?
Just got interest.
Yes.
Calm down.
But what does he say in the script?
If he's in the mob,
Yes.
I think the line that I'll phone the police is not a realistic one.
Yeah.
A hospital would say, I'll phone the police.
Yeah.
Well, is he telling the truth? Is it in earnest?
No.
His
Threats.
Right.
Maybe she knows there's no way in hell he's going to phone the police. And maybe she calls his bluff on it.
Yeah, but she would-
Maybe that's for the benefit of everyone else
Yeah.
in the coffee shop.
Ah.
But I think his whole language style doesn't imply that he has that kind of motive or move. It's too RP, the language, really.
Not at all. Not at all. You
well-
get 5 different actors to put 5 different interpretations on that.
Give me
It can
back my
sound-
son.
Yes.
Give us my son. There's a difference.
Michael, can
Yes.
I go
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
I'm missing on the backstory.
Yeah.
The child is 4 years old.
Yes.
Please can you tell me what happened? He was conceived, the father went off.
Yes.
Yeah? What happened in the next 4 years?
What happened in the next 4 years?
Yes.
Well-
Was the child with the mother?
That's a good one.
How old was the child when the mother died? Blah blah.
Right, the child was born.
Yes. And the father.
Right around the time the child was born, the father expresses an interest.
But until then, during the pregnancy, was what?
He was
Okay.
nowhere to be found.
So did they get back together at that point?
No,
Okay.
no. So you know, is he interested? Because his parents said, no, this is, he's your son. You've got to look after him. He's got to be here. He's gonna be the next, mobster.
So when the child was born, the child was with his mother,
Yes.
right? For how long?
6 months.
See,
At which point did, I don't understand.
Does it make a difference?
No.
Well, I think it makes a difference because this is the whole point we were talking about
Yes.
earlier, is that if he got custody within the first year, let's say,
Yes.
then the child, even at 4, has only known his father,
Yes.
potentially, and has maybe not known so much about the mother.
Right. From the
If
child's
at all.
point of view. Yes.
From the child's point
Yes.
of view. And this whole discussion about, well, so far as he was concerned, this crazy lady stole him,
Right.
appeared out of nowhere, and then they had
So-
a big
so
crash,
actually-
and this other crazy lady is now...
Actually, you
That's why
bring
it was.
up a good point. As the director directing this, do you want to show the child's point of view more, or do you want to show Mary's point of view more, or do you want to show Ben's point of view more?
I want to see logic.
Yeah. It's down to the director to make it logical. Yeah? It's got to make sense.
That's the point. If
Absolutely.
it doesn't come out in the script straight away, then that's when you work with the writer to say, well, we need to fill out the back to have it make sense.
Right. A lot of times on, Liz, you'll know this as an actress. A lot of times you get a 1-page script. You've got to make it come to life as an actor. They're going to be judging whether to give you that role based on all of these questions that you would have asked before going into that audition. Do you have access to the rest of the script? Not always. So you've got to come up with it in the best way that it makes sense to you. And sometimes you're going to go to the audition and go, I'm sorry, I have a bunch of questions. What does this mean? What does that mean? Etc. Sometimes having the questions makes the director goes, okay, this is a thinking actor, I like that. Another director will go, this person hasn't prepared enough. If they'd read between the lines, they would have come up with the answers. So I'm probably going to go with somebody else. So what's good for one director is not good for another. See, it's all down to interpretation. Yes.
How can the actor get into this without having read the past of the play? I mean, for example, he can interpret it, the actor can interpret what you've got there,
Yes.
but it may not make any sense in relation to what's actually happened.
Yeah.
It may not. But if that's all you've
So how
been
can
given,
they- yeah.
that's all you've got to work with. And this is standard industry practice. It happens all the time.
I'm not going to give out full script willy-nilly to everyone who
No,
audition.
script, but at least
So I guess as an
background.
actor, you've got to make up your own backstory.
Correct.
It might make sense.
Correct.
It may be completely different reading from what the director is working, and it may work against you in audition, or it may work for you because they go, oh, actually, I haven't really thought about it like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just don't know. I mean, this is, I guess Mike will tell you better than I will, but an actor's life, you just haven't got a clue what the director's actually looking for.
No, you
And
don't.
they not know until they see it.
But
Yes.
with this text, there must be a limit to how much interpretation you can put on
But
it
I was just saying the
as
directors,
an actor.
the three directors, they will
Yes.
have the background, presumably.
Yeah.
to
Well,
direct.
they've been given the background.
Oh, they have been given
Well,
the background.
just
Background.
what I just gave to you guys.
All right.
Right. Anything more,
They make up.
I'm going to leave. Yes, I'm going to leave to the director to make up. Look, it's the same thing with the actor. If the actor playing Ben goes, you know what, I think this guy's a really nasty piece of work, and I'm going to play him nasty, that's what they're going to walk in with. And then the director might go, well, that was really nice, but can you not play him so nasty? Or can you do this? Or can you make this choice? Or can you make that choice? You know, it is a bit of a gamble, you know, because you don't know the full story. You know, you don't know what they're looking for. And the other thing is, of course, that you don't know who they've cast opposite you. So that has something to do with it too. Yes?
I guess another good thing coming out of providing, prior to the audition, providing the actor with the character background, the extract of the script. Another good thing about the audition and having provided the character background and the whole process is that the director can then say, can you tone down the aggression, or can you do, you know, more play it in a different way. At the same time, the director is assessing whether the actor can take instruction, which will be very important at the time of production.
Absolutely.
So that's actually a good thing if that needs to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alternatively, does he want to appear like he's the victim here and Mary is the person who stole his son? Okay, that was the last one on that. Obviously, this list isn't exhaustive. There's so many other possibilities for each yes or no answer. Is Ben's family connected to the mob? Let's say the answer is no. Did he win sole custody because Julia is a drug user?
That's likely.
How?
That's likely.
Possibly.
Was he responsible for how became a drug user?
Correct. Correct.
Well, if he's wealthy, then I
He
don't
might be
is
the
he going to
dealer.
be using drugs?
Yeah. Did his family use their wealth and influence to attain sole custody? Is Ben genuinely a nice person being victimized by Mary? That's a possibility, isn't it?
It's an outside
No.
possibility.
If they're not associated with the mob, is the supposition, right? It could be he's a genuinely nice person and he wants, you know,
Is this his first child?
he's what?
Is this Ben's first child? Like, has he had any more children?
Let me throw that back at you. What do you think? What does it seem to
Well,
suggest?
if it were to be his first one, maybe he's, you know, just doesn't want any old person taking this first child he's ever going to have, and he wants to keep that,
Yeah.
you know, because it's
But
his life.
why did he initially say he didn't want anything to do with
Well,
the
he
child?
was 4 years old, so he's 29. So he's really scared. He's probably still a bachelor, and you know he's just a bit frightened by the situation.
So what are you saying
But
that he's
then
now
when he-
married?
Huh?
Are you saying that he's now married?
You don't know. We haven't investigated that. I mean, maybe he was married.
One
at the
thing-
time.
one thing is when the
This
baby-
is, I
Well,
mean,
one
this
thing,
is-
what I'm saying is when the baby was conceived, he's
Yes.
thinking this is now for real. I actually do want to be a part of this. Yeah, fuck it.
But we don't know that.
We don't
And
know.
another scenario on the
Just-
backstory is that perhaps he was married at the time,
Yeah.
Juliet was an affair, and when she said she was pregnant,
Yes.
he took it as a kind of thing, you know, go with me because we're going to have a baby,
Ultimatum,
etc.
sort of thing, yeah.
The baby bait, and
Yeah.
he didn't bite on that, then left. But when he realised actually she was, and possibly, we're talking hypothetical backstories,
Yeah.
you know, she was actually taking drugs and involved with drugs, and he realises this once the baby's born, being a family man,
Yeah.
he fesses up with his wife and everything, and so I've got this son,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't think my son is in the right place being brought up.
Quite possibly.
So
I mean,
he could be the good
Yeah, if
bad
you're
guy.
playing him as a nice guy, you can
Yeah.
do something like that.
Julie's family
is Julia white trash?
That's what, I'm implying that, yeah.
Right? We haven't decided that.
Why white?
Hmm?
Why white?
Well, you know what I mean. This is not
Trash.
right?
Yeah.
It could be a
I mean, and
trailer trash. Thank you.
Julie's family is for me is appearing very sinister.
Okay.
And that Ben genuinely.
Well, as one of the directors, you can get to make choices on that. Yeah. Yes.
The drugs thing,
Yes.
we've all made an assumption that it's illegal narcotic drugs. But you said that they did an autopsy and they found drugs in the system.
Illegal substances were in her system.
It was illegal substances.
Yes.
I'm just thinking, maybe
Yes.
she had problems and was taking huge amounts of painkillers.
Yeah. No. Let's go with the assumption that they were
she was
illegal
taking
drugs.
drugs because she had a
Sorry,
complaint
one at a time.
like cannabis or something.
Yeah.
So
Was that the thing that caused the car crash?
You can be hooked
No,
to
it's going too
prescription
far.
drugs, prescription
Yes.
drugs, yeah.
Do we know who actually instigated the meeting in the coffee shop? Was it Ben because he wanted witnesses, or was it Mary because she wanted protection?
Well, here's the thing. Maybe Ben said, "I need to meet you, and you better meet me or else."
Yes,
And maybe Mary said, "Okay, fine, somewhere public."
precisely.
Yeah.
Could have been that.
Yes.
I mean, there's lots of possibilities.
There are the two possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same time, just to add to that, what's to say he didn't go there with something like a recorder in his pocket so that she admits on tape that she's got the baby?
We're coming to that. Yes.
One and a half.
Okay. So, is Ben actually a very sly person playing a victim in front of other bystanders? Is Ben just wanting to get his son and go because he doesn't approve of Mary or Julia or their family because they're dysfunctional? And that's the word I used rather than white trash. Right. Question 3. Does Mary have a plan? Okay. One of the things that we do as actors is have an objective. It's always good to have an objective rather than just be there with no objective. So, does she have a plan? If yes, does she want to get Ben to do something in public that will discredit him? Does she have someone watching the interaction between Ben and herself? Is she hoping to gather evidence on how her daughter died by agreeing to meet Ben? Is she hoping to use her grandson as a bartering chip to extort money or something else out of Ben? So now here, we're possibly going into the territory of maybe Mary's not such a nice person. If Mary doesn't have a plan, is she hoping to get Ben to spill what he knows about how Julia died? Is she meeting Ben to decide whether to give Joe to him as he is Joe's legal custodian? Is she hoping to appeal to Ben's good nature to get him to see sense that he doesn't really want Joe? That was, after all, his first instinct, to flee. And he's not mature enough to accept the responsibility. He's not doing it because he's only doing it because his family has persuaded him to.
There's no reference to denial.
Is he hoping to get Ben to do something in public that will discredit him and maybe get him arrested? Have Mary's maternal instincts taken over and she wants to tell Ben he's not going to get Joe back because she can give Joe better care, whereas he's busy running a business, etc.? Could it be that? His family is wealthy, maybe he's heir to the throne of whatever throne.
Yeah, but that means he's getting more income and he can take care of it.
Is that preferable in her eyes than, say, somebody taking, obviously Ben's not married, or we've decided maybe that he's not married. You can decide that maybe he is married, right? Question 4. Is Mary certain that Ben's family had something to do with Julia's death, or does she merely suspect that?
Yes, she suspects it.
She suspects it.
Well,
Is that in terms of choices, is that a strong choice for it to be a suspicion rather than certainty? Anybody?
I don't think anybody would kidnap a child if they on a suspicion. They want more proof.
Some people, not everybody wants that level of proof before they act.
A mother shot 3 children, handicapped children today in New Malden, didn't she?
Yes.
I mean, she's not exactly the full ticket.
Right. But not everybody wants to get full proof before they take action. If you look at Shakespeare, for instance, you got Hamlet, who wants absolute certainty before he takes action. But Romeo in Romeo and Juliet does not need absolute certainty. He'll go off and do something, and if he's wrong, oh well.
You did.
Right? So it doesn't always work that way.
He's Italian,
Right? Okay, so let's assume yes, it's certainty. Does she want Ben's family to pay? This will take care of Joe's funding for the future.
I can't see that you can draw that up just from the last few lines.
no.
I think that is a very big leap.
Which? To make what?
After that bit, what's said next after not until he's older?
Yeah.
What's said?
Do you want to
scroll it down?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll...
I don't think I was thinking someone not being.
Page up and page down.
Yeah.
Use the arrows.
There's only a couple of lines.
I'm not going to let you bring up my grandson with a lie. Ben stands up, give me back my son.
So there's not a lot there to start assuming all this
We can make it a bit
about the
smaller.
family and the family's involvement.
150 or something. Other than
But it's your job to make choices about these things.
Minus.
Because these are real life human beings with a full story. It's not, maybe it's one
I know what
page
you're saying.
in a
I just
script.
think that it feels a little light in terms of dialogue to show a bit what's going on. In the
Sometimes, usually, it's actually harder when you've got less dialogue to make these choices. If you've got a lead role here, you know the character much better. You know what the author intended much, much better. When you've got something that's fairly thin, your job becomes harder because you've got to make those choices. And they have to be in sync with the rest of the story, which is where the director comes in. So the director sits with the actor and goes, okay, this is what's going on. I'd like you to do this at this point. I don't want you to make it a rowdy coffee shop scene, for instance. I want you to be low key. Or I want this, or I want that. And then the actor will say, well, what's going on here? Well, they'll have 1,001 questions that need to get answered in order for them to sell it, so to
I know
speak.
what you're saying. I think that some of this is difficult to actually.
Yeah. It's been deliberately written like this so that you can go lots of different directions, but I'm not telling you everything. You've got to make some choices, right? And a lot of times, even if you have the full script, if it's written by somebody else, you may or may not have access to the writer. In which case, as the person directing this, you need to make choices. Okay, does she want Ben to give up who drugged her daughter? She doesn't achieve it as the scene ends, but that's what she wants going into that discussion. Yeah? Bear in mind, we're looking at this scene as the answer. It's not. Sometimes the character wants something that they don't actually achieve within the scene or within the story, and it goes unfulfilled. Keep an open mind about that possibility, because there's no reason why that can't be true. Is she afraid of Ben or his family? We haven't really explored that side. If she's afraid, she's going to act slightly differently. Is she taking a huge risk meeting with Ben, knowing he can trace her to Joe's whereabouts? Is meeting Ben stupid on Mary's part or a calculated risk based on other measures she has in place? If she suspects Ben or his family or associates had something to do with Julia's death, is this meeting a fishing expedition for her to learn the truth? Maybe she has every intention of giving Joe back, but she wants to use this as an opportunity to get at the truth. You know, why did her daughter have drugs in her? If the answer is no, the question of certainty, maybe it's just a suspicion. Is the purpose of the meeting to try and convince herself that Ben is a good person and to give Joe back to him? Is she hoping to negotiate a way to see Joe if she gives him back, knowing that what she has done, adopting her own grandson, is illegal, and not only can she be jailed for it, but Ben's family could easily refuse her access to Joe going forward? Is she grateful that Ben has agreed to meet her without calling the police? Is Mary's character getting in the way of showing her gratefulness, and therefore she's being abrasive with him? So this is actually a very important part, you know. She might be the type of person who's sort of fiery. And so here's where her character, you know, she as a character gets in her own way. You know, if she were a different kind of person, she would do the right thing in this situation, but the way she is, her character flaw, if you will, prevents her from doing that. So she ends up being short with him and, you know, belligerent and argumentative and abrasive and what have you. That can all be a possibility. Maybe she's not acting in her own best interest.
Okay, Michael?
Yes?
Let's ask you, are you expected to follow the script to a letter, or are you able to interpret it the way you feel about it?
The dialogue is the dialogue. You cannot change the dialogue.
The dialogue that you can,
right? But the interpretation behind the dialogue is completely your choice. Yes? So, I've deliberately given the actors only their lines so that they memorize the lines. So once they get here, they don't know what's what. It's up to you to brief them in as succinct a way as possible what they need to do within the scene. They know their lines. How do they say their lines? There'll be an opportunity for you to tell them about their character so that they know how to say their lines. And then, of course, you'll see it, deliver it, and then you'll say, well, that wasn't quite what I had in mind. Can you know, do it this way? It gives you really a good chance to direct. Okay, we're going to get to camera in a second. Yes?
How long has the director's job with the actors? I mean, you're going to have to be fairly strict.
Yes, we are.
Because you can't have one director hogging
They'll be
any effects against the other two.
Exactly. We have time for tea. We have 7:30 to 10:30, and we're going to have a quick tea in the middle. So we have 3 hours to play with for 3 directors. That basically means each director really only has about 40 minutes or so. Yeah. And I strongly encourage everybody to get here on time at 7:30 so that we help set up. We're not going to use the black magic, we're just going to use Z5. We're not going to put down any track, so it's going to be handheld. We're going to have to set up the scene, we're going to have the directors talk with the actors. Everyone's going to be witness to the director giving direction to the actors. Right. Good. Telling the story, next section.